Cestota are flat segmented worms, also classified within the group Platyhelminths. Cestota is a class of flat segmented worms often called tapeworms. We have 4 different species of tapeworm. So, fairly common? Yeah, some of them are. We have 2 tanias, Saginata and Solium, a fish tapeworm
that's Diphyllobothrum latum, and a dog tapeworm, which actually there are a couple of dog tapeworms, but this one is Echinococcus granulosus. All of these tapeworms have some part or an effect on human beings, as well as their target animal.
Here we have beef and pork tapeworm. Taenia saginata for beef tapeworm, Taenia solium for pork tapeworm. They are both infective and both commonly cause problems in humans. They can be transferred from those animal sources to humans. Notice that an adult tapeworm can reach up to 30 feet long. It's about 10 yards, 9 to 10, maybe 11 meters. They're very, very long, and they do come in little pieces or segments. The segments are called proglottids. The attachment of the segments to the intestine is through the headpiece that's called the scolex.
The scolex can have suction cups. As you can see in this illustration or photo, there are 4 suction cups, and surrounding the mouthpiece, or the entrance to the digestive tract, are what we call a rostellum of hooklets, a whole ring of tiny little fishhook-like structures that allow, this is essentially the head of the tapeworm, allow the head of the tapeworm to attach and burrow deep within the lining of the intestine. The only way we can be certain that a person has been cured of their tapeworm is to find the heads. We need to screen the stool specimen of the patient thoroughly to make certain, after repeated samples, there are no more heads or scolices present from that patient.
Scientists that work in taxonomy, classification, and systematics routinely evaluate whether or not an organism needs to be reclassified. In recent years, a new genus has been proposed, Taenarhynchus, in which to classify some of the tapeworms. Taenia and Taenarhynchus are both properly used scientific names for the same organism. Just to forewarn you, in case in the future, in some of your newer textbooks, as you progress through your different disciplines and your careers, realize it's the same organism, just a newer, or maybe they'll retain the older, scientific name. On this slide, we have various parts of Taenias. The rostella of hooks, often surrounded by suction cups. The hooks are like fish hooks. Each one would embed into the lining of the intestine. There's a central picture in the lower image that shows a side view of a scolex, and that's where we would find both the suction cups and the rostellar hooks. Taenia solium has that combination of hooks and suction cups. Notice that the scolex would be essentially sort of head in or face down into the lining of the intestine. Then we find the neck, and then the first proglottid. Subsequent
proglottids get larger and larger and are egg-laying factories. Each proglottid contains both male and female reproductive organs, and if you notice on the image in the lower right, you can see the exit point. There's a pore or opening through which the fertilized eggs emerge from each proglotid. Each proglotid can produce thousands of fertilized eggs a day, and so the longer the adult tapeworm, the more numerous the eggs that can be produced.
Subsequent proglotids have both male and female reproductive structures inside. The fertilized eggs emerge from a pore on the side of the proglotid, and we can see an image of a Taenia egg that's probably advanced to an immature larval stage, since we can clearly see hooks on the inside. A very important structure, apparently, since they developed some of the earliest parts of this little larvae. Taenia life cycle. Both Taenia saginata and Taenia solium have very similar life cycles. We find that the parasite winds up mostly in the skeletal muscle of the animal. The cysticerci, which are the infective larvae for humans, are found in oncospheres in the muscle of the cow or the pig. The humans ingest the cysticerci in those oncospheres. Remember, they're microscopic. We can't see them. They don't change the quality of the meat. If anything looked odd about the meat, we wouldn't eat it.
But that's the beauty of the parasites. The parasites have adapted to what and how human beings eat.
So, the infective stage for humans is the cysticerci in oncospheres in the muscle. Once we ingest raw or undercooked infected meat, then the cysticerci, as they become uncovered in the small intestine after leaving the stomach. So little by little, the digestive juices in the stomach uncover the oncospheres, start to digest the surface of the oncosphere. The cysticerci wind up in the small intestine, and that's where that particular larvae starts to mature into an adult. Now, as the adult tapeworm matures, they start to release fertilized eggs, as well as gravid proglotids in the feces. You'll find that the gravid proglotids are somewhat visible. They often look like tiny little white flecks that seem to move, which in fact
they are moving. Each proglotid, just inside the surface of the proglotid segment, is loaded with stretchy microtubules and actin filaments. And so they do kind of stretch and contract and stretch and contract in kind of a crawling motion. So if you see a patient or you see a pet who has these tiny little sort of squirming things on their stool specimen, it's a good bet they have a tapeworm.
So the diagnostic stages for us, which are the gravid proglotids and the fertilized eggs, wind up on vegetation that the animals eat. The oncospheres that the animals ingest hatch. The larvae penetrate the intestinal wall and circulate to the musculature. It's there that new oncospheres form with the cysticerci in the muscles that the humans then eat and then get infected. Just like some of the other helminths that tend to wander into the wrong direction, Taenia cysticerci also do sort of stray wandering throughout the body. They do try to migrate to skeletal muscle or striated muscle. Unfortunately, if it's one of our muscles, then we wind up with cysticercosis. If you take a look at the x-ray on this slide, all those tiny white radio-opaque structures are oncospheres of cysticerci that are in the leg of the person that unfortunately was infected with a Taenia. There's a histologic slide on the left, again showing a cysticerci embedded in the muscle of the patient.
And they're numerous. They can be painful and would have to be removed either by medication and or surgery.
The central image at the bottom of the slide is a single cysticercus, where you can see a central suction cup, or if you take a look at the histologic section again, you can even see little hooklets at the central portion of the larvae. Cysticerci have even been known to migrate to the brain, where they result in a condition called neurocysticercosis. Typically, patients who suffer from this condition have become infected with tania that essentially is overwhelming. If you look at this cross-section of a brain, you notice it looks a little strange, a little bit like Swiss cheese with lots of holes that aren't supposed to be there. Every single little bubble is actually a little location for an infective larvae. The larvae is growing inside these little spheres. You can just barely make them out in some of the little bubbles or spheres. Patients with neurocysticercosis often go misdiagnosed. Early on, the symptoms are going to be just like any other vague condition. Headache, maybe a little dizziness. As it progresses, patients have a loss of motor function or other kind of neurological impairment, even seizures, coma, and death. The larvae don't continue to grow much beyond the larval stage and cannot grow into adults outside the intestine. But this condition can be, as you can see, quite lethal.
Each little bubble or Swiss cheese hole in this brain, if you look closely, you can actually see the little pebble-like structure, which is the larval tania embedded in that hole or in that pocket in the brain tissue.